Good afternoon.
I made a little boo-boo last week, and I corrected it this week. What happened was I cut into the Holy District last week. That is Ezekiel, 45th chapter, the first verse. And a lot of the information about that chapter was repeated several times. But if you know anything about Ezekiel after 13 other parts, that does that a lot. But it wasn't so much wrong as it was wrong to put that much of it one right behind the other. But some of this you will remember from last week, but without a lot of the explanations to go along with it, because it explains itself very well. Ezekiel, the 45th chapter, we'll start at verse 1. And when you make fall the land by lot for inheritance, you shall offer an offering to Yahweh, a holy portion of the land. The length shall be 25,000 cubits long, and the width 10,000. It shall be holy, and all its borders all around. Of this there shall be 500 by 500 cubits for the sanctuary, square all around, and 50 cubits around shall be for its open space. And from this measure you shall measure the length of 25,000 and the width of 10,000. And in it shall be the sanctuary and the most holy place. It is the holy portion of the land for the priests. It shall be for the ministers of the sanctuary, who come near to minister to Yahweh. And it shall be a place for their houses, and a holy place for the sanctuary. And the 25,000 cubits in length and the 10,000 in width shall also be for the Levites, the ministers of the house, for themselves for a possession, 20 rooms. And you shall give the possession of the city 5,000 cubits wide and 25,000 long, beside the offering of the holy portion. It shall be for the house of Israel. And a portion shall be for the ruler from here. And from there, for the heave offering of the holy place, and of the possession of the city, in front of the heave offering of the holy place. And to the front of the city's possession, from the west side westward, and from the east side eastward. And the length shall be alongside one of the portions, from the west border to the east border. It shall be for a land to him, for a possession in Israel. And my rulers shall never again oppress my people. There's a point to this also. He keeps giving them instructions as to what they have done in the past that put them in this position. And the position they're in is this. They came up in the dry bones prophecy, and they went to the city of Israel. And now he's presenting them all of the things they did wrong. And he's giving them one last chance to do finally what they said several times in covenant that they would do. And didn't do it. Verse 8 again. It shall be for him, for a land to him, for a possession in Israel. And my rulers shall never again oppress my people. And they shall give the rest of the land to the house of Israel, according to their tribes. So says the sovereign Yahweh, enough for you, O rulers of Israel. Remove violence and spoil, and do judgment and justice. Take away your demands on my people. What demands did they have? They were there to give the people demands of Yahweh. What did they put in their own demands in place of it, or addition to it? That's what happens down here. Take away your demands on my people, says the sovereign Yahweh. Verse 10, you shall have a just balance, a just ephah, and a just bath. The ephah and the bath shall be of one measure for everyone, that not something different for everyone that brings something to be weighed. That's what's happening before. That the bath may contain the 10th part of a homer, and the ephah, the 10th part of a homer. Its measure shall be according to the homer. And the shekel shall be 20 gerahs, 20 shekels, 25 shekels, 15 shekels shall be your manna. This is the heave offering that you shall offer. The 1/6 of an ephah of a homer of wheat, and the 1/6 of an ephah of a homer of barley. And as to the statute of oil, the bath of oil, you shall offer the 10th of a bath out of the core, which is a homer of 10 baths. For 10 baths are a homer. And 1 lamb out of the flock, out of 200. Out of the watered pasture, of Israel, for a food offering, for a burnt offering, and for peace offerings, to make atonement for them, says the sovereign Yahweh. All the people of the land shall be at the heave offering for the ruler in Israel. And it shall be the ruler's part to give burnt offerings and food offerings and drink offerings in the feasts, and in the new moons, and in the Sabbaths, in all appointed feasts of the house of Israel. Somebody said somewhere that the feasts were done away. Doesn't look like it to me. This is an end time prophecy. He shall prepare the sin offering and the food offering and the burnt offering and the peace offerings to make atonement for the house of Israel. And the only ones that will be doing these actual blood offerings are the ones that raised up in flesh. No one else. To make atonement. These rituals of atonement were commemorative of the complete and finished work of Yeshua Messiah. Up to this final scene, most of the Israelites were not believing this truth of blotting out their sins through the sacrifice of himself. Those rituals in and of themselves would be in no way efficacious for their sins. Were their sins not vanquished by the reality of his blood sacrifice at Golgotha? These were picture lessons and reminders to the people of their Messiah's marvelous saving work. What praise and worship they would give to the sovereign Messiah for his gracious provision for sin as they viewed these sacrificial reminders in worship. Hopefully by now, they will see these things in a more straightforward manner that they have in the past. Clarify this by being led to Revelation, the 5th chapter, the 7th verse. Revelation, the 5th chapter, starting at the 7th verse. And he came and took the book out of the right hand of him sitting on the throne. And when he had taken the book, the 4 living creatures and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, each one having harps and golden vials full of incense, which are the prayers of the saints. And they sang a new song, saying, "You are worthy to take the book and to open its seals. For you were slain and have redeemed us to Elohim by your blood, and out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation. And you made us kings and priests to our Elohim, and we will reign over the earth." And I looked, and I heard the voice of many angels around the throne, and the living creatures, and the elders. And the number of them was myriads and myriads, and thousands of thousands. Might hear some wings flapping then, maybe. Thousands and myriads of thousands and myriads of myriads. Might hear a little bit then. Verse 12, saying with a great voice, "Worthy is the Lamb who was slain to receive power and riches and wisdom and strength and honor and glory and blessing. And I heard every creature which is in the heaven and on the earth and under the earth, and those that are in the sea, and all who are in them, saying, blessing and honor and glory and power to be to him sitting on the throne, and to the Lamb forever and ever.
Yes.
And the 4 living creatures said, Amen. And the 24 elders fell down and worshiped the one living forever and ever. Go back to Ezekiel, 45th chapter, the 18th verse. Ezekiel, the 45th chapter, the 18th verse. So says the sovereign Yahweh, in the first month, in the first of the month, you shall take a bull without blemish, a son of the herd, and cleanse the sanctuary. And the priest shall take of the blood of the sin offering and put it on the doorposts of the house and on the 4 corners of the ledge of the altar and on the gateposts of the inner court. And so you shall do on the 7th of the month for each man who goes astray, and for the simple, so you shall atone for the house. In the first month, on the 14th of the month, you shall have the Passover, a feast of 7 days. Unleavened bread shall be eaten. Wait a minute. This was all done away, right? Apparently not. Verse 22. And on that day, the ruler shall prepare for himself and for all the people of the land a bull for a sin offering. In 7 days of the feast, he shall prepare a burnt offering to Yahweh, 7 bulls and 7 rams without blemish, daily for the 7 days, and a kid of the goats daily for a sin offering. And he shall prepare a food offering of an ephah for a bull, and an ephah for a ram, and a hin of oil for an ephah. In the 7th month, on the 15th day of the month, at the feast, he shall prepare like these 7 days, according to the sin offering, according to the burnt offering, and according to the food offering, and according to the oil. The prince and the feasts. Resume at Ezekiel, the 46th chapter, the 1st verse. So says the sovereign Yahweh, the gate of the inner court that faces eastward shall be shut the 6 working days. What? What day? 6 working days. But on the Sabbath, hey, the Sabbath is done away. Right? Well, that's what the world's plan is. That wasn't the plan of the Almighty. But on the Sabbath, the gate shall be opened, and in the day of the new moon, what's that? Some say. It shall be opened. And the new ruler shall enter by the way of the porch of that gate outside, and shall stand by the gatepost. And the priests shall prepare his burnt offering and his peace offering, and he shall worship at the threshold of the gate. And he shall go out, but the gate shall not be shut until the evening. And the people of the land shall worship at the door of the gate before Yahweh on the Sabbaths and in the new moons. And the burnt offering that the rulers shall offer to Yahweh in the Sabbath day shall be 6 lambs without blemish, and a ram without blemish. And the food offering shall be an ephah for a ram, and the food offering for the lambs as he shall be able to give, and a hin of oil to an ephah. And in the days of the new moon it shall be a bull without blemish, and six lambs and a ram. They shall be without blemish. And again, the only people giving these physical sacrifices are the ones of Israel that returned in flesh and never did it before, although they said they would. Verse 8, and when the ruler shall enter, he shall go in by the way of the porch of that gate, and by its way he shall go out. But when the people of the land come before Yahweh in the appointed feasts, he enters by the way of the north gate to worship, shall go out by the way of the south gate. And he who enters by the way of the south gate shall go out by the way of the north gate. He shall not return by the way of the gate by which he came in, but shall leave opposite it. And the ruler shall go in among them when they go in, and when they go out, he shall go out. And in the feasts, and in the appointed feasts, the food offering shall be an ephah, and an ephah for a ram, and to the lamb as he is able to give, and a hin of oil to an ephah. And when the ruler shall prepare a free will offering, burnt offering, or peace offerings, willingly to Yahweh. Very appropriate word here. A free will burnt offering or peace offerings willingly to Yahweh. One shall then open to him the gate that faces eastward, and he shall prepare his burnt offering and his peace offerings as he did on the Sabbath day. And he shall go out, and after his going out, one shall shut the gate. You shall daily prepare a burnt offering to Yahweh, a lamb without blemish, a son of a year. You shall prepare it every morning. This is the privilege of the prince. As for the prince, because he is the prince, he may sit in on it to eat bread before the sovereign Elohim. He shall enter by way of the vestibule of the gateway and go out the same way. As for the prince, Ezekiel wrote of a ruler, a prince, who would have special privilege regarding the gate. This ruler is likely David, whose future rulership over Israel was mentioned several times in Ezekiel. Return to Ezekiel, the 34th chapter, the 23rd verse. Ezekiel, the 34th chapter, the 23rd verse. And I will set up one shepherd over them, and he shall feed them. My servant David, a familiar face to these people that hadn't lived for thousands of years. Everything that God does, he does in a profoundly succinct way. Who else would have been recognized by these people at this time other than David? A king, a mighty king among them in the time of their lives. These lives were interrupted, and they knew that. They're not supposed to be alive now, but they are. And the first face they encounter as a king is David. There's a plan here afoot. There is. "24. And I, Yahweh, will be their Elohim, and my servant David a ruler among them. I, Yahweh, have spoken, and I will make a covenant of peace with them, and I will send the evil beasts out of the land, and they shall dwell safely in the wilderness and sleep in the woods." Ezekiel, the 37th chapter, the 25th verse. "And they shall dwell in the land that I have given to Jacob, my servant, the land in which your fathers have lived." Notice the wording here. The land in which your fathers have lived in another time. "And they shall dwell within it, even they and their sons, and the sons of their sons forever. And my servant David shall be their ruler forever." Isaiah, the 55th chapter, the 3rd verse. "Bow down your ear and come to me. Hear, and your soul shall live. And I will make an everlasting covenant with you, even the sure mercies of David. Behold, I have given him for a witness to the people, a leader and commander of the people." Hosea, the 3rd chapter, the 4th verse. Hosea, the 3rd chapter, the 4th verse. "For the sons of Israel shall live many days with no king and no ruler, and with no sacrifice and no pillars, and no ephod and teraphim. Afterward, the sons of Israel shall return and seek Yahweh, their Elohim, and David, their king. And they shall fear Yahweh and his goodness in the ends of the days." nails down the time of this. In fact, that prince was offering a sin offering. In Ezekiel, the 45th chapter, the 22nd verse. Ezekiel, the 45th chapter, the 22nd verse. And on that day, the ruler shall prepare for himself and for all the people of the land a bull for a sin offering. The only ones that participate in this sin offering are those who have come back to life and never did it really. Although they did say that they would do it in the times before. And now, if they don't do it now, that's it. Continuing in Ezekiel, the 46th chapter, the 14th verse. And you shall prepare a food offering for it every morning, the 1/6 of an ephah, and the 1/3 of a hin of oil, to make the fine flour moist. A food offering every day by an ordinance, forever to Yahweh. So they shall prepare the lamb and the food offering and the oil every morning for a burnt offering continually. Verse 16. So says the sovereign Yahweh, if the ruler gives a gift to any of his sons, the inheritance of it shall be his sons. It shall be their possession by inheritance. So if he gives a gift of his inheritance to one of his servants, then it shall be his to the year of liberty. Afterward, it shall return to the ruler, but his inheritance shall be his sons for them. And the ruler shall not take of the people's inheritance, oppressing them out of their possession. That was the rule back in the day. They weren't supposed to claim any possessed lands for themselves, but they did it among the evil priests. And they didn't give it back. My people may not be scattered, each man for his own possession. Verse 19. And he brought me through the entry, which is at the side of the gate, and in the holy chambers of the priests, facing north. And behold, there was a place on the sides, on the two sides, westward. And he said to me, this is the place where the priests shall boil the guilt offering and the sin offering, and where they shall bake the food offering, so that they may not bear them out into the outer court to sanctify the people. And he led me out into the outer court, and he made me pass by the four corners of the court. And behold, in every corner of the court there was a court. In the four corners of the court were enclosed courts, 40 cubits long and 30 wide. And one measure to the four of them being made in corners. And a row was all around in them, all around the four of them. And boiling water was made under the rows all around. And he said to me, these are the places of those who boil, where the ministers of the house shall boil the sacrifice of the people. I remember a few years ago when they were finding, they said, the temple in Jerusalem. And every place that they ever looked was wrong because they had no flowing water there. What's the first thing they find in this temple? Flowing water. Ezekiel, the 47th chapter, the first verse. And he led me again to the door of the house. And behold, water came out from under the threshold of the house, eastward. For the front of the house is east. And the water came down from under the right side of the house, at the south side of the house, the altar. And he led me out the way of the north gate, and led me around the way outside to the outer gate, by the way facing the east. And behold, water was trickling out of the right side. And the man went eastward, and a line in his hand, he measured 1,000 cubits, and he passed me before the water. The water was to the ankles. And he measured 1,000 cubits, and passed me through the water to the knees. And he measured 1,000, and passed me through water to the loins. And he measured 1,000, and there was a torrent which I was not able to pass, for the water had risen, water to swim in, a torrent that could not be passed. And he said to me, Son of man, have you seen? And he led me and caused me to return to the bank of the torrent. When I returned, then behold, on the edge of the torrent were very many trees, from here and from there. And he said to me, the waters go out toward the eastern circuit, and go down into the Arabah, and go into the sea. They are brought out into the sea, and the waters shall be healed. A hint, a small hint. And it shall be that every living soul which swarms in every place, there where the two torrents go, that soul shall live. Living waters. Living waters. And there shall be very many fish, because those waters shall come there, and they shall be healed from those waters. And all shall live wherever that torrent goes. When it will be, the fishermen shall stand on it, from En-Gedi even to En-Eglam, a spreading place for nets shall be there. Their fish shall be according to their kinds, like the fish of the great sea. Very many. Its swamps and its marshes shall not even be healed. They shall be forgiven to salt. And all trees for food shall go up by the torrent, on its bank on this side and on that side. Its leaf shall not fade, nor its fruit fail. It will bear by its months. Kind of like that one in Revelation, huh? This is the same one. A little bit different location. It will bear by its months, because its waters come out from the sanctuary, and its fruit shall be for food, and its leaves or leaf for healing. A little more familiar now, huh? Verse 13. So says Yahweh Elohim, this shall be the border by which you shall inherit the land according to the 12 tribes of Israel. Joseph shall have 2 parts, and you shall inherit it, each man like his brother, that I lifted up my hand to give to your fathers. Even this land shall fall to you for an inheritance. It never says who this is limited to, but that hasn't been decided yet. Because remember, they haven't yet bowed down to their king. And until they do that in sincerity, they won't get this inheritance. Somebody else will. I don't believe in replacement theology. I don't believe in that. And this doesn't say that to me. Repeat 14. And you shall inherit it, each man like his brother, that I lifted up my hand to give to your fathers. Even this land shall fall to you for an inheritance. And this is the border of the land to the north side, from the great sea, the way of Hethlon, to the entrance of Zedad, Hamath, Berotha, Sibraim, which is between the border of Damascus and the border of Hamath, Hazar-Hatticon, which is by the border of Haran. And the border shall be from the sea to Hazaron, to the border of Damascus, and the northward. Even the border of Hamath, and this is the north side. And you shall measure the east side from between Haran and from Damascus, and from Gilead, and the land of Israel shall be the Jordan from the border to the eastern sea. And this is the east side. and the south side, southward from Tamar, to the waters of Meraboth Kadesh, the torrent to the great sea. And this is the south side, southward. And the west side is the great sea, from the border until one is beside the sea, entrance of Hamath. This is the west side, and you shall divide this land for yourselves by the tribes of Israel, whoever they are at this time. (22) And it will be, you shall make it fall by lot for an inheritance to yourselves and to the strangers who live among you, who shall father sons among you, and they shall be to you as native born among the sons of Israel. They shall be allotted an inheritance among the tribes of Israel. And it shall be in the tribe in which the stranger resides, there you shall give his inheritance, says the sovereign Yahweh. Continuing to Ezekiel, the 48th chapter, the first verse. And these are the names of the tribes from the north end, at the hand of the way of Hethlon, to the entrance of Hamath, Hazar Enan, the border of Damascus, northward, at the hand of Hamath, and they shall be to it an east side and a west, one part for Dan. And by the border of Dan, from the east side to the west side, one part for Asher. And by the border of Asher, from the east side, even to the west side, one part for Naphtali. And the border of Naphtali, from the east side to the west side, one part for Manasseh. And by the border of Manasseh, from the east side to the west side, one part for Ephraim. And by the border of Ephraim, from the east side even to the west side, one part for Reuben. And by the border of Reuben, from the east side to the west side, one part for Judah. And by the border of Judah, from the east side to the west side, shall be the heave offering, which you shall offer, 25,000 cubits wide and long, as one of the parts from the east side to the west side. And the sanctuary shall be in its middle. Verse 9, the heave offering that you shall offer to Yahweh shall be 25,000 cubits long and 10,000 cubits wide. What he's doing is roping off this land for these people. He hasn't declared yet which people will own it. It's there for them if they can come through their trial. That hasn't come up yet. And people still claiming that land away from them as if they're not going to get it for themselves if they don't. It's still in question, but people automatically assume that that's where the Christians will go, as if the two haven't got their own fortunes to contend with. Verse 9, the heave offering that you shall offer to Yahweh shall be 25,000 cubits long and 10,000 cubits wide. And for these shall be the heave offering for the priests, northward 25,000, and westward 10,000, and eastward 10,000, and southward 25,000 long. And the sanctuary of Yahweh shall be in the middle of it. For the priests who are sanctified of the sons of Zadok, who have kept my charge, who did not go astray when the sons of Israel went astray, as the Levites went astray. And the heave offering shall be theirs from the heave offering of the land, the holiest of the holy places, by the border of the Levites. And the Levites shall have alongside the border of the priests 25,000 cubits long and 10,000 wide. And the length shall be 25,000, and the width 10,000. And they shall not sell any of it, nor trade it, nor cause the first fruits of the land to pass away. For it is holy to Yahweh. And the 5,000 that are left in the width in front of the 25,000 shall be common for the city, for dwelling and for open land. And the city shall be in her midst. And these shall be its measures. The north side, 4,500. And the south side, 4,500. And on the east side, 4,500. And the west side, 4,500. Perfect squares all the way around. 17. And the open land of the city shall be northward 250, and southward 250, and eastward 250, and westward 250, squared again. And the rest in length alongside the heave offering of the holy parts shall be 10,000 eastward and 10,000 westward. And it shall be alongside the heave offering of the holy part. And its produce shall be for bread to those who serve the city. And he who serves the city shall serve it out of all the tribes of Israel. All the heave offering shall be 25,000 by 25,000, 4 square. You shall offer the holy heave offering to the possession of the city. And the rest shall be for the ruler on this side and on that side of the heave of the holy heave offering, and the possession of the city in the front of the 25,000 of the heave offering to the east border, and westward in front of the 25,000 to the west border, alongside the lots for the ruler. And it shall be the holy heave offering, and the sanctuary of the house shall be in her midst. And to the ruler shall be from the possession of the Levites, and the possession of the city amidst that for the ruler, between the border of Judah and the border of Benjamin, shall be for the ruler, those who rule under David. And the rest of the tribes, for the east side to the west side, Benjamin one part, and by the border of Benjamin from the east side to the west side, Simeon one part, and by the border of Simeon from the east side to the west side, Issachar one part. And somewhere else we said that all of the names of the 12 tribes of Israel were on wall, and the disciples on the other wall. You see it here. "25. And by the border of Simeon, from the east side to the west side, Issachar one part. 26. And by the border of Issachar, from the east side to the west side, Zebulun one part. And by the border of Zebulun, from the east side to the west side, Gad the one part. 28. And by the border of Gad at the south side, southward, the border shall be even from Tamar to the waters of Meraboth Kadesh, and to the torrent toward the great sea. This is the land which you shall divide by lots to the 12, by the lots to the 12 tribes of Israel for inheritance. And these are their parts, says the sovereign Yahweh. And these are the exits of the city on the north side, 4,500 measures. And the gate of the city shall be the names of the tribes of Israel. 3 gates northward, 1 gate of Reuben, 1 gate of Judah, 1 gate of Levi. And at the east side, 4,500, and 3 gates, and 1 gate of Joseph, 1 gate of Benjamin, 1 gate of Dan. Some said that he didn't have a gate. There it is. Watch what you read, and read the book on top of it. You'll get a clearer picture from reading the book. 33. And the south side, 4,500 measures, and 3 gates. The gate of Simeon, 1 gate. The gate of Issachar, 1 gate. The gate of Zebulun, 1. The west side, 4,500. Their gates, 3. The gate of Gad, 1. The gate of Asher, the gate of Naphtali, and all around it shall be 8,000 cubits. And the name of that city from that day shall be Yahweh is there. will always be there from that time. Any questions or any comments? That's the one that I do that stuff for. All of these are on the web. And this is a lot of information to go through. Thurman.
I got a question about the torn, the water that you were speaking of. Does that have a particular name, or is it just the fact that there will be that torn that will go out to heal the other waters from the sanctuary? Is there a particular name or a particular Hebrew word?
Not that I found, but that is the waters that will heal the nations, and I found that in Revelation, I think it was.
Revelation?
And there was another part there that said that all of these waters, that the fruit trees gave fruit every month of the year. And that fruit would heal the people of the land, of the world by extension. But I get why he wrote it this way, because you got to do some digging to find out what he's talking about. You got to. And you can't read it every other day and take a couple of months off and go back, and you can't do it that way. And you can't let somebody do it for you. You got to do it for yourself. I'm telling you, over the parts of these things, sometimes I read it one day and it read one way and went back to another day and it read a little bit differently. It's the same thing, but my resulting thoughts about it were deeper the more I read it.
Pastor, I think I found it in Revelation chapter 22. First couple of verses. Revelation 22, like the first few verses in Revelation 22, about the river of life and the tree of life. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, Pastor.
And I showed a pure river of life, clear as crystal, proceeding out of the Lamb, the throne of God, and of the Lamb, and in the midst of the street, and either side of the river, was the tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruits, and yielded her fruits every month. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. And there shall be no more curse, but the throne of Elohim and the Lamb shall be in it, and his servants shall serve him. A little bit here and a little bit there, all the way through. Yes, Sherry.
When you're speaking of the healing, that reminded me of Revelations, the tree of life in the Garden of Eden, where he protected it, and the swords were protecting it, the cherubims, man out. That reminds me of that saying in Genesis, in the beginning. No, I was saying it reminded me of Genesis in the beginning where the tree of life.
Yeah, he protected it from them. Before they went back in and got forever life out of turn. Ruby.
Pastor, I know this is going to sound very childish, but and I've been doing a lot of underlining that particular verse. Or when they were gathering the harvest, then I should go part where it was saying. That's what I'm trying to remember with that, because I didn't underline it. Well, the boiling of the water, and I know this is childish, but is it because he wanted to capture the aroma of what he was asking for them to do?
No, he just wanted them to do it. That's
So
something.
there was no particular reason?
He'd asked them countless times before. Countless times before. And they never did it. And they never did it still until he brought them up in the end times. And he's going to give them one more chance to do it. And he didn't give us an answer here whether they did it or not. That's one of those surprises we'll get in the end times, whether they will do it or not. And most people don't even hear about this because most of even the Jewish people don't believe that's a prophecy. They don't believe in the bones upon bones prophecy. That's just a story to them. And more people every day see this book as literature and not reality. And the closer we get to the time of the end, the more people pipe up and that's just a book. That's just a book like War and Peace. No, it's not nearly as long, but not the same thing.
Those waters aren't available today. They brought them up into Eastern Europe. They need it. What's going on up there is not going to be pretty.
Yeah, but they're still living by the way of man doing things for them. Just the same thing that the Hebrews did. They wanted to live like their neighbors. Their politics was better than God's politics.
You can't put 40,000 soldiers with arms on each side of the border and expect the outcome to be good for either side.
Yeah, David could have told them that if they thought he was real. He had tried that in one era, but they just littered the land with bodies, and nothing was accomplished by that. A lot of death.
Birds will break that will.
But this basically that's the whole thing from the beginning, and beyond that even. The whole idea that Satan brought forth is, from the beginning, I can do it better than he can. I can do it better than he can. Let me take over. And we're seeing the end result to that to this day, all over the world. And anybody thinks that Chicago is the only town that has all these shootings every weekend? No, it's all over the place. The worst is down south.
That used to be safe.
Memphis is the worst in the nation out right now. and the obvious ones like Vegas, New Orleans, and that, yeah, parts of it. And they're all the same, because people are leading into this part where they're just wanting what they want without even knowing why they want it. This is what I want, and this is how I'm going to get it. And nothing,
Amazing that the news make people think it's only Chicago. It's so not true. If you have the opportunity to talk to other people in other cities.
It's all over the world.
All over the world. Chicago is the only one in the news, so.
Yeah, but the last guy that they liked, he didn't like Chicago. And
Most of your politicians are from Florida.
They voted that Leslie Elf
Yes.
to be their leader in Chicago.
Yes.
No good is gonna come to the people because of this. It's going to deteriorate and go downhill rapidly because they voted for it.
yeah, but that's 2 in a row. But they didn't know that because the first one, they didn't know he was one.